Hello SMC traders, Kenneth Unaji here at Proculus Trading. Welcome to this week SMC Market Outlook. So this week we are going to be looking at the DXY, of course, as usual, and then for the DXY basket we'll be picking the EURUSD as our target currency, and then we'll also be looking at the yen basket. Okay, then in the yen basket we'll be looking at the CADJPY for our SMC Market Outlook. Okay, so come with me as we demystify what is going to happen in the markets in the coming week. Stay tuned. Of course, first and foremost, we always want to start with the fundamentals. Okay, so the first on the list, of course, the USD. Okay, now we are looking at on Monday we have some. In fact, the whole of this week we are going to have some very interesting market volatility. Okay, so on Monday, starts 2nd of February. The first thing on our list here is this right here. Okay, on Monday, which is the manufacturing PMI. Okay, and we can see that if you check the history, you discover for a while that this figure have actually remained below 50. Okay, this is the previous figure that came out. This is the previous figure that came out. All right, and then this is the forecast. So we're not expecting anything much of this figure going above 50 anymore. But this is what we have right here. Okay, this signifies that the manufacturing PMI is not actually doing too good. Okay, but the sister to this manufacturing PMI is of actually the service PMI, which we have on Wednesday. Okay, we have this on Wednesday here. All right, so we have the service PMI, which has been coming out quite good, which is at 53.6, which is the forecast, and then 54, which was the previous. So this figure has stayed above 50 for some time now, and that means that the service PMI is doing very well for the United States. This translates to the fact, that the GDP, which have been coming out above zero and have been coming out very good for the USD. Okay, that's for the American economy. This signifies that the major contributors to the GDP of the United States is actually services that they render. Okay, because if you notice that that's the manufacturing PMI is actually performing poorly, not that poor, but at least not as compare. If you compare that with the service PMI, you see that the service PMI is actually doing better. That signifies that the GDP, that's the rising figure we see in the GDP over time for the United States is actually coming from the service PMI. So we're looking more at the service PMI to see whether it rises or it falls in the coming quarter. Okay. So that said, we'll now go to Friday because that's where we are having the non-farm payroll. Okay, and that's where we are seeing that the non-farm payroll we are having as the seven as we're expecting 7 jobs to be added to the market as against the previous, which is 50. Okay, so all this does point to one thing, that we're going to have a lot of volatility this week. We're going to have a lot of volatility this week, especially for the United States dollar. Okay, so you have to be cautious if you are a scalper. Okay, you have to be cautious of the fact that this news are actually coming out. Okay, and if you also trade prop firms, also make sure that you are abreast with the news so that you don't trade and break the trading rules of those prop firms that don't like you trading during the news. Okay, then the next on the list is the Canadian dollar. We're going to have this can you see this Canadian unemployment change? Okay, we're expecting this to also cause some volatility on the CADJPY. Okay, so that's it for the fundamentals. So now we'll go to the chart and see how we can relate the charts to the fundamentals and what we can possibly get in the coming week. So here with me is the monthly time frame of the DXY. Okay, you can see that the price have actually stayed above this trend line over time. Even up to now, we still have a bounce off the trend line. Okay, and then the second confluence is this demand zone right here. You can see that price is also reacting, all right, on this demand zone right here. And the other thing is this also, which is the third factor, is the fact that price have actually closed below this demand zone right here. Okay, there's a lot of context being created in on the monthly time frame. What are we looking at here? If we zoom in into the candles, okay, we'll see some other clearer details, which says that which points to the fact that the US dollar still wants to remain bullish, especially when you're looking at it from the monthly time frame. Okay, what do we have? We can see that the market came to sweep liquidity. This candle, can you see this candle here, which is the last, which gave us the lowest low. Okay, that's about 5 months ago. Now, this candle here, which is the January candle, okay, this candle, which is January candle, actually came to sweep liquidity, okay, before going to close above this demand zone. That should count for something. All right, for a while now, we've been targeting this fair value gap up here. Okay, so if we're going to have a bullish reaction here and price closing above this line right here, then our buyers will remain that we'll be buying the US dollar. Probably our target should be this fair value gap on the monthly time frame right here. Okay, so that's it for the monthly time frame, and we're going to go down to the weekly time frame, and then we're going to see things in clearer details of what is happening. We can also see something happening on the weekly time frame here, okay, which is the fact that the US dollar was in a range for a while. Okay, that's from here to this place here. You can see that it has been in a range, and then something interesting last week happened, which is the fact that this pin bar actually formed and also showed us that liquidity was actually swept. Okay, that's price trying to gather momentum to move to the upside. So the other thing I'm going to mention right here now is that if you're paying close attention, you see what is going on here. Okay, we can see the concept of, A, M, D playing out here. All right, what's that? That's accumulation, manipulation, and distribution is actually happening right here. We can see that price have actually accumulated for a period of time, and it has given us the second step, which is the manipulation. All right, it has given us the second step, which is the manipulation, and now it is now going up to the other side. All right, so that's what the rules say. Okay, once there's an accumulation and there's a manipulation, we should expect price to move to the upside. So we've gathered all our details, about what price is doing, both on the monthly time frame and on the weekly time frame, and all indicator points to the fact that we should be looking to buy the US dollar in the coming week. Okay, let's not forget that the last Friday of January actually closed. If I'm to take you back to a monthly time frame, the last Friday of January actually closed. That was yesterday, and now so we have a fully formed monthly candle right here. Okay, which points to the fact that this is bullish, all right, and it has closed above this demand zone right here. So this is the final information of the January candle that we can actually work with. So we go down to the daily. All right, we go down to the daily and we see things happening also. Now this structure starts coming into play. All right, what do we have in the recent swing? You can see that price did the whole of this. Okay, price did the whole of this block structure here. So on the daily time frame, actually, we have price to be bearish. Okay, because price actually took out this low and has not taken out this high, which may take a while, but something's guaranteed here. The liquidity have been swept right here. Okay, liquidity have been swept right here, and then price is now giving us this bullish candle. Okay, which was on Friday. Friday market close. This is what we got. So it's still giving us the fact that we should be looking to buy the US dollar in the coming week. So this is how you try to break down your chart, okay, from the monthly time frame to the weekly and then to the daily. Okay, so nothing much here about the DXY on the daily time frame, okay, except the fact that if you go down to the 4 hour, you can now start seeing things in clearer details. So here on the 4 hour, what do we see? We can see market giving us all a structural move to the upside, and then we can see markets shifting to the downside. Here also we had a shift to the downside with it kind of base drop formation here, and then we can see price actually giving us a very nice supply continuation pattern here. So now this week, well, since price is here at the current moment, okay, we're going to see in the coming week what is going to happen. Is price going to actually maintain this zone, or is it going to break through or go down the other way? But anyway, I won't be looking to, even though price give us a reaction here, I won't be looking to sell to the downside. What I want price to do is for price to break above this zone and then come down here and then go to the upside. That's what we're actually looking for price to do. Okay. So there's nothing much going on the 1 hour. So I'm only going down to the 1 hour. All right. I'll rather stick to the 4 hour where I have clearer information. Okay. Because the 1 hour and the 4 hour actually having similar market structure as it is right now. Okay. So now we're not going to pick one of the pair in the DXY basket, which is the EURUSD. So SMC traders, before me right here is the Euro USD. And we can see what is happening here. Okay, we can see that price have actually given us a rejection. Okay, from this demand zone in the monthly time frame. We can see the reaction right here. Okay, and then price have decided to close on the monthly time frame below this fair value gap also. Can we see that? Okay, and we can see this massive rejection. Okay, on the monthly time frame. This monthly candle right here. Can we see that? All right. So what we're actually looking for also is the fact that price is giving us that vibe that it wants to go to the downside. And let's not forget that whatever we do on the DXY is a mirror opposite of the Euro USD. Okay, so going forward, we can see that price actually swept liquidity here also, and then that's price gathering momentum to move to the downside. Okay, and then now we go to the weekly time frame, and then we can also see the weekly time frame giving us a very nice formation here. Okay, so we can see that price also swept liquidity here, and then giving us this very nice pin bar to the downside. Okay, and then we can see this liquidity resting around this point here. Okay, that's actually a magnet for price to actually come down. Okay, to move to towards this direction right here. And then we can see that we also have a monthly demand zone here, which is also a price magnet. So all this signify one thing also, that we should be looking to sell the US dollar in the coming week. However, we're going to be looking at the intraday charts. Okay, that's the 1 hour and the 4 hour, to see if price will be giving us market break of structure to the downside. So here on the daily time frame, we can also see what the market is trying to do here. Okay, we can also see that actually the structure here is actually signifying the fact that the market is actually having a push to the upside. However, okay, we can also see that price is dropping aggressively, going downwards. Okay, we can see this fair value gap in between here and here. All right, so this the worst that could happen is that price will actually come into this fair value gap right here. Okay, gather orders and move upward. But however, that's not what we are looking at. We are looking at the bearish Euro USD. Okay, so we are looking to sell whatever comes. Okay, so keep looking for sell opportunities, especially on the intraday time frame. So we go down to the 4 hour. What do we see now? We can now see how that we are marking our levels on the 4 hour right here. Okay, but for clearer explanation, I'd rather do this on the 1 hour time frame, where you see things in clearer details. Okay, and what do we see here? We can see that the markets have been making all this push. Okay, and then this push, we have this push, and then this push to the upside. So the market have come to clear this zone right here. Okay, which is a flip zone for us, and then the market is now around this point here. However, what I'm actually looking for, I actually want the market to come and take out this low right here. Okay, taking out this low, that means that I want the market to come down, close at least with one or two candles, and to sustain the fact that price have actually closed below this line right here. Okay, and then from there, give us a push to the upside, come into this flip zone right here, and then give us a turn, give us a confirmation to go to the downside, or come to this supply zone up here, all right, which is reflected on the 4 hour and on the 1 hour, and then give us a turn or some evidence that it wants to move to the downside. Okay, so that's it for the Euro USD. We're actually expecting to sell from all these points here. These are actually our points of interest on the 1 hour time frame, hoping that price will give us a turn around this area here to the downside. Okay, so that's what you have for the DXY and the Euro USD. So the next on our chart is going to be the yen basket. So here with me, we have the yen index, all right? And so from the fundamental standpoint, okay, we've established that the yen actually have the lowest interest rates in the markets right now. Okay, so that has given it the push, all this push we see to the downside. Okay, that has been because the fundamentals have actually been playing out very well on the yen index. Okay, however, some recent activities have actually been playing out, which is the fact that the lowest low ever was actually taken out in the month of January, and then price came and swept liquidity below here. I've been singing this song for a very long time now. If you check my previous videos, you will see that we've been actually making reference to the fact that the lowest low which was ever created have actually been taken out by this sweep of liquidity right here. Okay, we can now see that price actually closed above the low here, all right, and giving us a sort of formation on a pin bar formation, almost a pin bar, all right, and that gives us the signal that price will want to head to the upside. Though, but fundamentally, don't mistake this, okay? Fundamentally, the yen index is actually bearish. Okay, but what we're looking for here right now is short-term buy to the upside, and at least we are going to be targeting this fair value gap right here. And this is a lot of, this is the monthly time frame, so this is a lot of gap between this point here and this point right here. Okay, so what do we have? If you go to the weekly time frame, we start seeing things in more clearer detail. Okay, especially when you zoom in into the candles. Okay, when you see into the candles, I try to see how the candles the candles are playing out. Okay, and then we now see that this is the liquidity zone that was actually printed on the monthly time frame, also reflecting on the weekly time frame. Okay, what do we have? We have the fact that we have two opposite candles facing each other. Okay, there's a face out here. I want to see these two candles. This is from the 2 weeks ago, and then this is from last week of trading. This week, this one here, which closed bearish. Okay, so we have a standoff of candles right here, and then in the coming week we're going to be seeing how this standoff is going to play out. Will the bulls have it, or will the bears have their way? Okay, but we're going to see that more clearer when we go to the daily time frame, and then we start seeing how market structure is beginning to make sense. Okay, so what do we have here? All right, for a while now we've actually kept our eye on this level right here, and it happened last week that price actually closed above this level, okay, right here, and then that gave us a push to the downside, which is very interesting. This is clean SMC playing out here, because we can see that the market has been giving us all this push, all this drive, and all this. Okay, and then now an impulse to the upside, taking out this high and also taking out this high right here, and then now price also came to absorb this market gap that was created 2 weeks ago. All right, and then now also price is now at actually a very key important level, which is at this gap right here. Okay, we also have a demand zone at the bottom here, so there's the likelihood that price may still want to continue to the lower side before it goes to the upside. However, we're going to be looking at the intraday time frame, which is the 1 hour and the 4 hour, to see what price is trying to do, okay, in the coming week. So if we go down to the 4 hour, all right, you can see what's happening here. Almost similar structure with what we have on the daily time frame. You can see that price actually giving us some form of rejection at this point right here. Okay, so now we're also looking at the fact that we are looking to buy the yen index in the coming week on the 4 hour time frame. So we can see how price is actually acting out nicely here. In fact, I'll say that the yen index for me right now is actually my favorite asset of concern. Okay, so now I'll go to the 1 hour time frame where I start seeing where things gets more clearer. Okay, because that's where we actually see the structures playing out. All right, we can see this massive push to the upside, and then all this drama going to the downside, up and then down, breaking structure here. All right, so now I'm actually waiting for the market to actually come and give me a break of this structure, probably. Okay, and then I'll look for bullish evidence to the upside. Okay, then there's something very key that I also have to pay attention to, which is the fact that if we take out our Fibonacci tool and then we pull from here all the way to the upside, okay, we can see that price came to our optimum entry area, which is around here. Can you see this whole of this area right here? price came and actually gave us this optimal entry. So what we're actually looking for will be that on the 15-minute time frame, we're looking for that's a market structure shift to the upside to give us confirmation that price wants to go to the upside, and then we'll be placing our buy trades. Okay, so that's it for the yen index, and now we're going to be going to the CADJPY. All right. So here before us is the CADJPY. That's the Canadian dollar Japanese yen. Okay, so we can see this happening here. What is actually poking at us right now is this supply zone right here. And we can see that price have actually made a move, okay, to the upside. Okay, broken structure here, and then price actually moved to the upside again. And then we can see the price, the candles actually closing below this monthly supply zone. That signifies, give us that signal that yes, we're actually also going to be selling the Canadian dollar on the monthly time frame to the downside. Okay, then we go to the weekly time frame. When we go to the weekly time frame, what do we see? We can see that price is actually giving us that standoff of candles also right here, and we can see that on the weekly from 2 weeks ago we have this rejection right here, and then we have this bullish push to the upside. All right, so not much is actually going to be noticed on the weekly time frame, okay, or except for the fact that markets actually reacted from this demand zone, I mean the supply zone on the monthly time frame, and then headed to the downside. But in the grand scheme of things, okay, the weekly time frame is actually bullish. But what you actually want to do, what you actually want to do as an intraday trader, is to actually focus on these recent happenings, which is this two candle action right here. All right. So if we go to the daily time frame, we start seeing things in clearer details. Okay. So you can see something happening here, which is the fact that this daily supply zone is being nested in the monthly supply zone. That's a very nice confluence, okay? And then we can see that the market has been making a push, structurally speaking, going down, and then all is pushed to the upside, a break of structure, and then shifts of market structure with this massive impulse to the downside, taking us out. And then we can see price actually going up again, okay, coming to test this daily demand zone right here. All right, sorry, daily supply zone right here, and then it's going to be heading down towards the south. Okay, so all the evidences are there pointing to the fact that we should be looking to sell the Canadian dollar versus the Japanese yen in the coming week. Okay, so if we go down to the 4-hour time frame, we start seeing things, in more clearer details. What do we have? We have the fact that we had this massive push to the downside. We have this massive drop to the downside, and then we can now see markets doing all of this, and then we can see liquidity being swept here with this big rally to the upside. Now the market have come to react of this demand zone or this supply zone on the daily time frame. What do we have again? We can also see that the market is actually giving us a print, all right, of this massive rejection candle right here. This massive rejection candle right here, a print of that. Okay, but now we're going to see the detail happening here on the 1-hour time frame. So if we go to the 1-hour time frame, what do we see? We see the fact that price is actually playing out very nicely, okay, giving us very nice structure to the upside. What do we have? We see this here, and then price coming to do this massive sweep to the downside, sweep liquidity, move up, give us a break of this structure, and then coming down here, up here again like this, and then now we have a push to the downside. This push now created this supply zone on the 1-hour time frame, okay, and then so we'll be looking for the market to actually come and take out this low right here. Can you see this low right here, this candle right here? Okay, we actually want the market to close by a full candle body, okay, before accepting to the fact that yes, the market is actually going to be bearish. Okay, so that close of the full body candle will tell us that yes, the 1-hour time frame is actually very bearish. But for now, we cannot draw any conclusion because you can see the market actually reacting off these zones right here. So what we actually anticipate from the market is that market should come below this line here, close somewhere around here or even further, but at least close below this line, and then give us a push to the upside. And then on the lower time frame, which is our entry time frame on the 5 minutes, is for the market to come and give us the market structure shift to the downside, and then we'll be selling the CADJPY to the downside. Okay, so guys, that's where you have it. Okay, for the DXY, we are expecting a bullish dollar, and for the yen basket, we're actually expecting also a bullish yen in the coming week ahead. All right, so that's how you also have it, guys. I hope you find meaning in this SMC weekly outlook. All right, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to share. Also hit the notification bell so that when we drop our videos like this, you'll be the first to get notified about the video. Okay, so thank you for staying tuned with us. Cheers for now. Bye.